Hey, thanks for joining us here on episode 35 of the Dumb Leaders Podcast. The Dumb Leaders Podcast is focused on making you a better leader with our library of lessons from lousy leaders. Now, for more articles and lessons, please check out the website at dumbleaders.com. I'm Tony Curl and welcome to the Halo Effect. So in this episode, I'll be sharing the Halo Effect and how it impacts dumb leaders. Now, you may have heard about the halo effect. You may have benefited from it or more likely been negatively impacted from it. So the halo effect is a cognitive bias in which our overall impression of a person influences how we feel and think about his or her character. For example, we see an attractive person and we evaluate them as being nice and clever. We see this all the time with celebrities, famous people. We see someone who is attractive, funny, successful in their own right, and we tend to think of them also as being intelligent and kind. But as we can learn, often that's not the case. Now, a definition of the halo effect. It's also known as the physical attractiveness stereotype and the what is beautiful is good principle. Now, the halo effect at the most specific level refers to the habitual tendency of people to rate attractive individuals more favorably for their personality traits or characteristics than those who are less attractive. So it refers to the habitual tendency of people to rate attractive individuals more favorably than their personality traits or characteristics than those who are less attractive. The halo effect is also used in more general sense to describe like the global impact of a likable personality or some specific desirable trait in creating biased judgments of the target person on any dimension. Thus, our feelings generally overcome cognitions when we appraise others. That's all very detailed, and that's the first definition, I guess. I'm wrong. It wasn't the first definition. That was from the Sagan Encyclopedia of Social Science Research Methods. Professor Standing in 2004. Now, this has been studied extensively in the workplace, and it commenced as early as 1920, where the phrase was first coined by psychologist Edward Thorndike, and he did that in his 1920s paper, The Constant Error in Psychologist Ratings. Now, what does all this mean to me? Okay, so many of the studies highlight the true nature of this bias. So it's important to understand what the studies have indicated and where they've come from. When we rate people as good looking, we also tend to believe they have they have other positive personality traits on top of being good looking. And we also tend to consider them as intelligent. But the reverse is also true. Some people will see a good-looking person as vain, dishonest, and likely to manipulate. And a lot of this comes down to the first time that we meet them and the interpretation of those circumstances. The halo effect, it's used in marketing. We see this all the time. Products and services are sold to us by likable influencers and celebrities. In other situations, in an educational sense, we see good students seen by teachers as well-behaved, intelligent. The halo effect will impact or can influence gradings and ratings. So this is reality. This is what happens in the world. We tend to, if we like someone, we tend to provide a greater rating for them in other personality traits, whether that's likely to be true or not. So how does this impact dumb leaders? Firstly, the halo effect can come into play when we recruit people into our business. So applicants that are viewed as attractive and likable are more likely to be rated as intelligent, competent and qualified. Yes, you heard that right. Applicants viewed as attractive and likable are more likely to be rated as intelligent, competent, and qualified. Now, the ramifications of this, if it's allowed to play out, is costly to business. You end up with a very good-looking company. You look like everyone. You end up with a company that looks like Derek Zoolander, but in all likelihood, a poor-performing one. Secondly, we see the impact on performance reviews. Research continues to show that a manager delivering performance reviews needs to have objective criteria within the review process to counter the subjective beliefs driven by the halo effect. So I'm going to ask a dumb leader now, what do you think of that?
But I won't get into the details of those. I just want people to realize that I'm not a fool.
Okay, so you're not a fool. That's good to hear. Now, thirdly, we fill our teams with people that we like based on our beliefs and our perceptions. And this will often, once again, lead us to teams that look amazing, but don't produce much.
I just think that would be fun.
Okay, I'm glad that you think that could be fun. But interesting. Some research conducted indicated that when it comes to gender specifically, jealousy can negate the halo effect. And this was relevant in a study where they studied a group of female undergrads, and they were given rating. They were asked to rate photos of very attractive males and very attractive females. The halo effect was less evident when it came to rating the females. But what was also interesting was that areas like, would this person make a good parent, would this person be a potential cheating aspect, were rated highly with attractive females. So the people undertaking that study considered that potentially that concept of jealousy overrides the halo effect. Very interesting, and seen specifically with that particular study with undergrad females. So what do we do about this? What do we do about this? If I was a dumb leader, what would I do about this?
And people who know me personally know that I am not a fool.
Okay, well, we've heard that. So if you have to keep telling me that you're not a fool, it's likely that you're a dumb leader. So what do we do about this? Okay, because the halo effect is an impact on dumb leaders. Dumb leaders tend to almost worship the halo effect. They will have golden childs within their performance appraisal rating. They'll recruit people much like themselves or people that they find likable or attractive. They tend to build teams within their business of people that they like. So as a dumb leader, the halo effect comes firmly into play. Now, as a leader, it's important that we do have some intuition on people. We do have that gut feel, and we use that. And that's important. But often, we tend to over-rely on intuition. We tend to over-rely on gut feel. And research, once again, tends to show us that we rate our gut feel and intuition highly. And often, much more highly than what we should. Our gut feel is not the way that we should be making the majority. It's part of our decision-making process. It shouldn't be the only thing. And leaders that rely on gut feel and intuition will be impacted by the halo effect. Now, it's a valid thing to build rapport and get a gut feel on someone. The reality is that we should be complementing this with an objective reality. So when recruiting someone, for example, we should be using a valid recruitment process, things like behavioural questions, maybe even skill assessments, looking at things like required experience and education. When we're reviewing performance, we need to have clear standards, expectations, and KPIs. Having a clear growth plan for individuals is also important to delivering a fair assessment. Personally, I've suffered from the golden child syndrome, and it was horrible working within that team where the leader had a golden child who constantly missed KPIs, goals, standards, and expectations, yet still managed to rate above everyone else, simply because the boss had a friend. And that's just not on. So if you really want to get better as a leader, you need to understand the impact of the halo effect that it can have, not just on your own performance, but on the performance of your team. Man, you've got to get serious here. You just have to get serious. And lastly, when building a team, you build a team based around skill set, performance, and not personality. Build a team of complementary skills and committed to performance. Now, there is a thing called cultural fit, which you do need to take into account, but that's not the only thing. You need to have complementary skills, you need to have performance, and then if the cultural fit is there, that's awesome. So cultural fit is not the primary objective, but because if we looked at cultural fit as the primary objective, we're going to be subject to the halo effect. Now, it's one thing to know about the halo effect, it's another thing altogether to ensure it's not impacting your decision making. And you need to be aware, you need to be conscious, and you need to be acting with intention. So that's episode 34, where we talked about the halo effect and the impact that it has on dumb leaders. Hey, thanks for listening. Oh, sorry, this was 35. I got that wrong. I did get it wrong. Episode 35. Now, if we've added value, please review us on iTunes or wherever you listen to this podcast. A 5-star review from you helps others find us. If you want a topic or a challenge that you're facing answered, just head to dumbleaders.com, click on the contact page and send us your feedback. That's dumbleaders.com. Click on the contact page and send us your feedback. The link, once again, is in the description. So learn from the mistakes of dumb leaders and make yourself a better leader. I'll see you next time.